Good morning, and it's 4 minutes past 8 in the morning according to my clock up there on the screen. That's of course not the real time but the in-game time. It's actually Saturday evening. I think it's about 5:45 p.m. at the moment. I think I haven't got a clock in front of me, but I think that's about what it is. But anyway, it's 4 minutes past 8 in the morning here, and I'm just about to start feeding the cows. It was a late start this morning. Started at 8 because of the time of the year it is, because it's autumn, I believe. Yes, autumn, so I normally have a later start in autumn because it stays darker for longer, and I don't really like working in the dark very much. So we're going to be feeding the cows. Now, I know that some of my viewers here are actually... I think I've bought that the wrong tractor first, actually. Yes, I have. What do you know? I have too. Never mind, we'll just park that one up there then and go and grab the other one. Anyway, some of my viewers I know are also friends of mine on Steam, and for those of you that are friends of mine on Steam, you may have noticed that I spent time earlier today, late last night and earlier today, with FS25 loaded. And you might have wondered what was going on there. Well, I'll tell you, I had a couple of maps that I wanted to try out on FS25 that I thought I had hoped might be quite good, and I was thinking if they are good, because I know that they've just brought out a mod for or another DLC pack for Euro Truck Simulator, so that you can carry trailers with farm equipment, you know, big balers and things like that on it, and combine harvesters. And I thought, well, if any of these maps on FS25, if I like any of them, I thought first of all they would be as well as my FS22 maps, not instead, because I'm really enjoying these, all four of the maps I'm playing at the moment on FS22, and not ready to finish with any of them, so I wouldn't... previously, whenever I've upgraded to a new version of Farming Simulator, I've deleted my mods from the older versions, and I have sometimes regretted that because it can be very difficult to find mods again later on further down the track, and that's the main reason I haven't gone back to any of the older versions of Farming Simulator, is simply that I just don't have the mods that I want to use. But I'm not going to make that mistake this time. When I upgrade to FS25, I'm going to keep all my FS22 mods downloaded still, and so that I can continue playing my FS22 maps as well. But what I was planning on doing, you see, I'm just going to go and check that that's what I wanted. Sheep, where are the sheep? Oh, yep, that's that done, okay. My plan was that if any of these FS25 maps were quite good, and I was planning on starting to play FS25 as well as FS22, then my intention was that I was going to do an episode on Euro Truck Simulator, purchase that farm equipment DLC, so it's only a few bucks, it's not very expensive, and actually do an episode of Euro Truck Simulator moving some farm equipment from one district to another. And my intention there was that people would obviously recognise it's Euro Truck Simulator. I'm sure most of you would recognise that game when you saw it, but I wouldn't actually announce what country I was driving from or to, because I would just play it as we're moving from the FS22 district to the FS25 district, so I have to move some of my farm equipment across, sort of thing. But unfortunately I wasn't really very impressed with any of the three maps I wanted to try out for FS25, so we won't be moving to FS25 as well as the FS22 at the moment. We'll just stick with FS22 alone at the moment, and not doing FS25 as well. But at some point in the future there will be some decent maps that come out for it, and we probably will start playing it then, and I might then do an episode of moving some farm equipment from FS22 to FS25 via using the Euro Truck Simulator DLC. I must say, because what I have been doing is I have been keeping an eye on all the FS25 mods, whenever there's a mod I'm interested in, I've been downloading it and putting it away on my hard drive. And I've got a 2 terabyte hard drive, so I don't need to worry about running out of space or anything. Just so when I am ready to move on to FS25, I've got a whole bunch of mods already there to help me get me started and things. But can I just say that there's two things I noticed. The first is that pretty well every single mod that's available for FS25 at the moment, except for the official DLCs, okay, every other single mod that I've seen is actually just a version of an FS22 mod that's been sort of modified to work for FS25, and sometimes the graphics have been updated slightly, but it just seems that there's, if you don't count the actual official DLCs, there's absolutely nothing I've seen that's new for FS25 that's actually not available on FS22 as well yet. And yet there's an awful lot of mods on FS22 that aren't available on FS25. So to move from FS22 to FS25 at the moment, you'll be doing away with a lot of the mods. There'll be a lot of mods you won't be able to use simply because they're not available on FS25, and I don't see you actually be gaining an awful lot really. I mean, I am looking forward to this ground deformation where my understanding is I haven't played FS25 enough to experience this myself yet. I do understand that if you've got mud, say at a farm gate, it will slowly dig out the mud kind of thing, so that you're getting more and more dug into the mud and potentially getting stuck in the mud if you're using that farm gate all the time. And I think that would be a really, really cool feature. But I haven't actually seen much else, if anything else I can think of. I sort of think, yeah, that's a really, really awesome feature, and I'd really love to be able to use it. I mean, the hurricane mod that sends hurricanes along potentially could be a good mod, but given that I'm playing like UK maps, hurricanes aren't really a thing in the UK as far as I'm aware. This question. Oh, okay. I was just trying to work out where I've kept my TMR mixer on this farm, but I've remembered now. I don't know where that is, but it's right here. Actually, how many of my cows? The only downside of doing lots of different farms like this is that you forget what you're up to on each map. I actually, before I started recording on this one, I actually did a quick run around just to see what I was up to here. Just seeing, apart from the cow shed, calf barn there, so that one takes straw. I think, is that the only thing that takes straw on this farm? I think it is, you know. I think it is, yes it is. And from the looks of things, I don't think it even needs straw really at the moment. No, it's got plenty of straw there, so we won't be needing straw. Oops. Well, there's not much TMR left in this mixer wagon at the moment though, so I might just go and empty that wee bit that is there out into the calf barn and then fill it up again. Oh, come to think of it though, there is the this needs cleaning out on this map. Yeah, there's an extra job to do. I know that I don't have any chickens on this map because I can't place chickens where they'll actually be visible, and there's really no point in my book in having chickens on the map if they're not visible. But so yeah, anyway, I did try out 3 FS25 maps. 2 of them were Scroft maps, so they were versions of Calmsden Farm that Scroft has modified, and then the 3rd one I tried out was the actual original Calmsden Farm map. But yeah, none of them really jumped out at me. I mean, Calmsden was never one of my favourite maps, to tell the truth. It's got very, very big paddocks. It doesn't have a village in it or anything. It really doesn't have the things that appeal to me most about UK maps, so it's not one that I've ever been excited to play. But I thought I'd check out the 2 Scroft versions to see if either of them had things that made me really want to play it, and unfortunately neither of them did. But at some point I can see that I'll be moving on to FS25 as well as FS22, but it won't be yet. And who knows when that will be. But yeah. So that was an idea that I'd had, which kind of didn't pan out as it was, because I wasn't going to do a video of driving a truck on Euro Truck Simulator to move farm equipment from the FS22 district to the FS25 district if it wasn't going to be followed up by a video on FS25, which obviously it isn't going to be at the moment, but that's alright. So yeah, on the other thing I said there was two things I want to talk about FS25 mods. So one was the fact that there's just nothing new that I've seen apart from the DLC packs. It's all just FS22 mods that have been ported over to FS25. And then the other thing, although I was very impressed with the detail on the FS25, so for example the Fiat Agri 110 tractor as an example, you can actually see through the, I'm using the 110 as an example because I've got one right there on this farm, the FS22 version, and I shall show you in a second. I'll show you now. If we jump out here, I won't run under a bale, but you've got the grille here on the side of the bonnet. So on the FS25 version of this mod, you can actually see through this grille here. So those bits are just painted black on this one. You can actually see through and see kind of like the engine inside of it. So it does have a bit more detail than the FS22 version of it here. But despite that, some of the mods I think haven't really been quite converted properly. So the Santana 88, for example, which is the closest thing you can get to an old Land Rover on these games, and I'll show you the Santana 88 so you know what I'm talking about. So I have that on this farm as well. So this old green Land Rover here, whoever converted it, it wasn't the original modder, because I checked all these and none of these mods were converted over by the original modders, but they've shortened the bit between the back of the door there and the wheel arch, and the whole thing looks ridiculous. It's a bit too short now. The wheel arch basically starts right at the back door there, and it shouldn't. It should have this little bit of body here. It makes the whole Santana 88 look ridiculous, to tell the truth. So yes, and like this Massey here, which is also available as a mod on FS25, it doesn't look, as far as I can see, like you've got the option of putting the roll bar on it any longer. And that's an option, it's not compulsory, but I would have thought, one of the things I like about this roll bar is it doesn't really look like it's part of the Massey. It looks like it's been added on afterwards, and I really like that. When these Masseys were built, rollover protection just wasn't a thing. Tractors didn't have rollover protection. But obviously if you're going to be using an old tractor like this nowadays, it's open cabin tractor, it doesn't have a cabin, you want to have some rollover protection, especially if you're on a farm like this that's got some hills. Just in case you do something stupid, you end up rolling the thing. You don't want to end up dead. So I really like the roll bar on this tractor because it does look to me like an add-on afterwards feature and not an original part of the tractor, and it just wasn't even an option on the FS25 version as far as I could see. So although the mods are better detailed in FS25 and everything seems to have a bit more detail, they're missing a lot of things as well, and they just, to me, they came across as looking like perhaps they'd been converted in a bit of a hurry. And as I said, none of them have been converted by the original modders. So the original modder of this Massey is Peter J, and when I read who had done the conversion on the FS25 version, I forgot to take the wrap off that one first. Never mind, I've dumped that one in. The other one will need to have the wrap taken off first, because I don't think it will completely disappear in there. Oh, actually, have I done that? Yeah, I need to put half a yellow one in as well, don't I? So this map here, the TMR done a different way from on the other maps. You need to have half a bale of straw in the mixer as well, otherwise it won't finish TMR. So no, I almost forgot to do that because I don't do that on the other maps I play. So yeah, at some point I will go over to FS25. It won't be until there's a decent map, and hopefully some of these mods, I don't know, maybe the original modders like Peter J and things, just aren't doing mods anymore. I don't know. Hopefully they are, or someone else has a go at converting them over and putting in the effort to actually, you know, make sure that, as well as having extra detail that's sort of a requirement, I suppose, of FS25, that they still have all the original features and things of the original mods. But we shall see. Certainly I need an old Land Rover or something, so if I'm going to go over to UK map, I'm going to have an old Land Rover of some sort. It's pretty well compulsory in this game in my book, having an old Landy. And the other things that, see, the other thing, like another two mods that I found for FS25 and I downloaded was a 10 series Ford and a 40 series Ford. So you can have like the Ford 8210 and the Ford, I can't really remember what, 8340 I think it might be. Anyway, it's a 10 series and a 40 series Ford tractors, and I found both of those and downloaded both of those. But on FS22 here, the 10 series and the 40 series, which I haven't got on this map to show you, but I have got them on my Belly Spring map. I've got them both in two-wheel drive form. And on FS25, oh, I shouldn't have paid it there because those aren't the first bales that go into the trailer, but never mind. So now, anyway, on the FS25 version, neither of those tractors have a two-wheel drive option, so it would mean that I have to have both those tractors as four-wheel drive versions, not two-wheel drive versions. And again, it's just another feature that's been lost off the mod, presumably because the mods haven't been converted by the original modders, but they've been converted by somebody else. But they're losing features, and it's like, well, in actual fact, even though the FS22 version of the mod, the graphics probably aren't quite as good, they've got more features and more options. So in a lot of ways I actually think the FS22 version of all my favourite mods seems to be better than the FS25 version, even though graphically they're just not quite there. So yeah, I don't know when I'm going to move over. Maybe in November when this new Scottish map comes out, but then maybe not, because I've never actually seen a Giants original map yet I actually really like, because the problem with the Giants original maps is they're short on detail, and I think they're short on detail so people can play them even if they've got a very, very low end PC or something. But obviously if you've got a highly detailed map, you need to have a high end PC to play them. Although I can play those high end maps, Giants tend to make their maps so that even the people with the worst computers can still play them, and as a result they're just so lacking in detail. And I suspect the Scottish map's going to be no different, that, you know, although it might have one or two things I really like, so I like the idea of farming in the Scottish Highlands sort of thing, the lack of detail would just drive me nuts, and it would take so long to go around the whole map just adding in details, you know, placeable details everywhere to make it more to my liking. So yeah, I'm really not sure. But so anyway, that's probably enough of me complaining about maps at the moment and things. So I shall finish feeding the cows, and I see this video is getting quite long, so it's up to 19 minutes now, so I shall leave you at that. Thank you all for listening to my grumbling about FS25. Bye.